Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Oaklo, a company making some really interesting moves in the nuclear energy space. They're developing these advanced small modular reactors, or SMRs.
Yeah, SMRs. You're probably hearing that term more and more these days.
Definitely. And what's interesting about Oaklo is they're not just building them, they want to own and operate them too.
Which is a pretty unique approach in this industry, for sure.
And investors are definitely taking notice. Oklo's stock price has jumped something like 238% in just the last 6 months.
Yeah, there's a ton of excitement surrounding Oaklo right now. And it's not just the stock performance. It's really about their whole business model and how they're trying to overcome some of those big challenges that have always kind of held back nuclear.
Yeah, before we dive into all that, quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you're enjoying the discussion. We've got a lot more coming your way, so stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Okay, so back to Oaklo. One thing that really jumped out was Craig Hallam giving the stock a buy rating with a $44 price target.
It's pretty bullish.
It is, especially when you see other analysts with targets ranging from $27 all the way up to $45. So there's definitely a range there.
For sure. And you have to remember, it's based on a pretty aggressive valuation. We're talking an EBITDA multiple of 25x for 2034.
And then discounted back at 20%, right?
Exactly. So they're basically banking on Oaklo being able to scale up really fast and hit some serious earnings within the next decade.
Okay, so let's break down that 25x multiple for a second. For those familiar with EBITDA, what is it about Oaklo that makes them so special in Craig Hallam's eyes to justify that?
Well, a couple of things. First off, the SMR market itself is expected to explode, and Oaklo is setting themselves up as a leader in that space. But on top of that, remember, their focus on owning and operating the plants, that sets them apart because it means recurring revenue.
Right. A lot of other SMR companies are just selling the tech. Oaklo is aiming to be the power provider.
It's a totally different approach.
It's almost like they're creating a whole new utility company from the ground up, but powered by SMRs.
Yeah, and when you factor in the advantages of SMRs over traditional nuclear plants.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started. 2047 power, high energy density, much smaller footprint than those massive plants we're used to seeing.
Absolutely. And the safety features are just light years ahead. They're designed with passive safety systems, so they use things like gravity and convection for cooling if there's an emergency.
No need to rely on external power sources or people having to run in and do things.
Right, exactly.
And then you've got the modularity aspect, being able to build these reactors off-site and just ship and assemble them.
It's so much faster and more efficient. And in the long run, potentially way cheaper. It really avoids those cost overruns and delays that have always plagued big nuclear projects in the past.
Big time. And that's all happening right when the demand for zero emissions baseload power is going through the roof. Think data centers, all that AI stuff, they need reliable, clean energy.
And they're willing to pay for it. Oklo is targeting that market very deliberately. Their commercial pipeline has grown like crazy, something like 20 times bigger in just 18 months. We're talking over 14 gigawatts.
And those partnerships, they've got Equinix. Those are heavy hitters in the data center world.
No kidding. And these aren't just for show. These partnerships represent potentially $11 billion a year in revenue for Oklo.
Wow, that's more than triple their current market cap.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a company with this innovative tech, a unique model, huge partnerships, and a stock price reflecting all that optimism. But what about actually making it happen? There's been some news on the leadership side of things lately.
Yeah, there has. Board member Christopher Wright is about to step down. Seems like he might be tapped as the next U.S. Secretary of Energy.
And at the same time, Oaklo increased salaries and bonuses for the CEO, Jacob DeWitt, and their CFO, Craig Bielmeier.
It's a show of confidence in the leadership for sure. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, especially as they're growing so rapidly.
Yeah. And then there's the partnership with Power.
That's an interesting one. They're creating a phased power strategy for data centers. So it starts with natural gas generators from Power.
And then eventually transitions over to Oaklo's Aurora powerhouses.
A fully emissions-free solution.
A pretty clever way to deal with the immediate need for power while building towards a cleaner future.
I agree. It's a recognition that the switch to totally sustainable energy isn't going to happen overnight, but Oaklo is definitely working towards it.
Okay, now it wouldn't be fair if we didn't mention that there are differing views out there.
Yeah.
We've got Wedbush raising their price target to $45 with an outperform rating.
Right.
But then you've got Citi holding a neutral stance.
Shows you how much uncertainty there still is in this sector. Oaklo is a young company working in a pretty complex regulatory environment. There's There's huge potential, but also a lot of risk. And that really gets to the heart of the question for investors, right? Can Oaklo pull this off? Can they get through all the regulations, scale up their manufacturing, and really convince people that SMRs are a safe and practical option?
Absolutely. It's one thing to have cool technology and big partners, but execution is key. What do you think are the biggest hurdles Oaklo might run into over the next few years?
Well, ramping up production is a big one. They need to show they can actually build and deploy these reactors efficiently and keep the costs down to meet that demand. And you mentioned regulations. That whole process for nuclear energy is a maze.
Yeah, permits, licenses that can take forever and cost a fortune. Any delays there could really throw them off track.
No question. And then there's the whole public perception thing.
Right, nuclear energy has a bit of a PR problem, even with all the potential upsides.
Yeah, Oklo's got their work cut out for them when it comes to explaining just how safe and environmentally friendly SMRs are if they want widespread acceptance.
Public education is going to be huge.
Yeah.
They need to build trust and be transparent, especially with all the baggage nuclear has with those accidents and waste disposal concerns.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, Oklo's not the only game in town.
Oh, right. The SMR space is getting crowded. There are a bunch of other companies developing their own designs. The competition is heating up.
Yeah, how do they stand out? I think their whole integrated approach of, owning and operating the plants, that's a big differentiator.
It gives them a lot more control over the whole shebang, or from the fuel to actually generating power to dealing with the waste.
Could be more efficient, cheaper in the long run, but it definitely adds a layer of complexity and risk.
For sure. And going after the data center market, smart move. That's a sector that's desperate for clean and reliable power. Oklo's positioning themselves as the perfect solution. But even with all that going for them, there are bigger forces at play that could affect their success. It's stuff they can't really control.
Right. The global energy market is constantly changing. Government policies are always in flux. It's not just about tech. It's carbon pricing, subsidies for renewables, all the geopolitics.
Sometimes feels like you need a crystal ball to see what's coming next in energy.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder that even the most innovative companies are still part of a bigger system. They can't do it alone.
That's true.
When you step back and look at the big picture, Oaklo's journey is about something much bigger than just one company's success or failure. It's about the potential of SMRs. Can they really play a significant role in this whole energy transition?
It's a test case, that's for sure. If Oaklo can prove this tech is viable and scalable, it could have a huge impact on the nuclear industry as a whole.
It could really open the door for more widespread adoption of SMRs, safe, clean, reliable baseload power.
And that's something that could have implications for energy production and consumption all over the world. I mean, Oaklo's success could really push us towards a decarbonized energy system, less reliance on fossil fuels, maybe even make a dent in climate change.
Okay, so let's flip the script for a second. What if they don't make it?
It could have the opposite effect. If they run into serious roadblocks, technical problems, regulatory nightmares, public pushback, it might reinforce the idea that nuclear is just too difficult, too costly, and too risky.
High stakes all around, not just for Oaklo, but for nuclear energy in general. So for those of our listeners out there who are really into the energy sector, what are the big takeaways here? Why should they care about what Oaklo's doing?
Well, Oaklo's story is just fascinating to watch. It's like innovation and disruption in an industry that's usually pretty slow to change. They're shaking things up, really pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible with nuclear.
Yeah, and it's a great illustration of how complex this energy transition really is. No simple solutions. You've got all these promising technologies out there, but each one comes with its own set of challenges and possibilities.
Exactly. And whether a particular technology succeeds is about more than just how good it is. It's about getting the market on board, getting the regulations right, and winning over public opinion. Oaklo is a perfect example of that.
And before we move on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you're finding this discussion helpful. We'll keep bringing you these deep dives into the companies and technologies that are shaping the future. Okay, so as we wrap up our look at Oaklo, I want to leave you with a final thought. We talked about how important Oaklo's journey is for the whole nuclear sector. Their success or failure could really make a difference.
No doubt about it. Their success could really change how people view nuclear, especially in places that have been hesitant about it.
Yeah, it could open up whole new markets and even speed up the development of these advanced reactor designs.
Right, and that could be huge for decarbonizing energy and tackling climate change. SMRs are inherently safer, produce less waste. They could really be a more attractive option for nuclear, especially with climate concerns growing every day.
But, there's the other side of the coin too. If Oaklo hits some major roadblocks,
whether it's technical issues or regulatory hurdles or public resistance,
it could really set back the whole SMR movement. Make people think nuclear is too complicated, too expensive, too risky.
It's a gamble, no question. And we don't know how it's going to play out. But no matter what happens with Oaklo, it's a good reminder that this shift to sustainable energy,
It's not a straight line.
not at all. It's going to take innovation, collaboration, a willingness to try new things.
And it's going to take people like our listeners who are informed and engaged. Keep learning about this stuff, stay up to date, and be a part of the conversation about the future of energy.
Absolutely.
Well said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored Oaklo and the world of SMRs. Until next time.